Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of Responsibility, a Mindset 365 initiative. My name's Ben Williamson, and each month I'll take you into the mindset of ordinary people who operate in high-stress conditions. Together, we find out who they are, what they do, why they do it, and importantly, the how. So why is a high-performing mindset so important in life? Well, at Mindset 365, I concentrate on preparing the person for the path, not the path for the person. So let's seize in the hot seat this week and find out their responsibility. And joining us fresh off a 2025 Vic Open campaign, as in yesterday, Ben Eccles. Welcome, Benny.
Thanks, Benny. Good to be here.
Yeah, congratulations. Top 10 finish, which is a brilliant result. The last few years haven't been so great for you. So your home tournament, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm pretty tired, to be honest. It's quite a big week, particularly home tournament. A lot of expectations, and haven't played well the last few years, so it's nice to have a good one.
Yeah, really good one. I went and had a look. I must say conditions were pretty tough, especially the wind. One thing I noticed is the way you adapted to it. Played beautifully into that breeze. How does those sort of conditions, how do they suit you?
It's a really good question. I've played in those conditions a number of times the last few years, but it was verging on pretty unplayable, particularly in the afternoon. I did feel quite sorry for those guys, but it's just one of those days. You just got to, the old cliche, one shot at a time, and just see what you can do. I probably had the worst warm-up I've had in all season, and the body felt terrible, but ended up having one of the best rounds of the season. So it's just the way golf goes.
You're at the pointy end when it counted, and that's the most important thing, mate. Well done. Introducing you as a professional golfer. You're on the Australasian Tour. Ben Eccles, professional golfer. You hear it. What would your 8-year-old self tell you when you heard that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like going back to that time in my life, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, or particularly with golf. I mean, it's such a hard game. It's such a long career, and introducing it now, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did it start for you, Benny? So, in terms of growing up, firstly, where did you grow up?
Yeah, grew up in the UK. We moved from the UK in 2006, so I was 11. Probably started playing golf when I was 6 with my older brother. Dad got us involved, and the obsession really sort of kicked off when we moved here. So it's been a long time. It's been a long career, and hopefully it's longer.
Yeah, you're still young. There's plenty more to go.
Yeah, plenty more to go. Yeah.
So you moved out to Australia. Where did you move?
We moved to Torquay, onto the golf course. Dad sort of wanted us on there, and ever since we moved, it was sort of every day, and every day since. Yeah.
Was it a love from Dad, mostly, for golf?
Yeah, definitely. He sort of, particularly now, he sort of lives vicariously through my career, which I'm sure you could tell when you met him yesterday. He's really passionate about it.
Yep.
We talk almost every day about it, how to get better, or what to do differently, and pretty much calls himself my manager.
He's got the official tag. Good on him. Yeah, I think as a parent, it's almost I could see how. I mean, I look at that side of things and go, yes, I could see how you would be 100% invested in it. You've got your pressures. Obviously, they're wearing a lot of that too, and we'll talk about that as this goes on. But you've had such great success, especially early. As an amateur, you burst onto the scene in 2015, New South Wales Open. You got a late call up.
I did.
What happened from there?
That was a bit of a whirlwind now. It sort of feels like someone else did it, but I ended up winning that week as an amateur, which at the time I didn't really know what it meant, but it actually kick-started my career and pretty much changed my life at that time. That was a wild time. Yeah, weird to think back.
So you're playing against all these pros. Did you know a lot of the guys in the field who you were playing against? Did you look up to them, or how was the expectations going in?
Yeah, it was a weird one. At the time, I was kind of trying to push my way into the Australian national team, and a few weeks earlier, I got selected to go to Abu Dhabi and compete for Australia, and had a pretty good performance. And then I got a few invites to play on the Australasian Tour as an amateur, and New South Wales Open. I got an invite from, shout out Graham Phillipson if you're listening. Gave me an last invite into the field.
Got the last one.
Last one.
Yep.
And I didn't get much of a practice in when I got to the event. I think it was weather affected, and then I ended up winning the event. So it was a weird time. It was an amazing time, and it was in fact my mum's 50th birthday. So
you were supposed to be somewhere else, weren't you? Yeah. Where were you supposed to be?
So my uncle and my cousin they were down from the UK, and they were up in Queensland actually at Australia Zoo when they were watching the scores online, and I'm not sure they actually enjoyed their day, given the situation I was in. But yeah, it was a weird time. I didn't really enjoy it at the time. I had to get to the airport, fly home back to Melbourne, and we ended up having dinner quite late in Melbourne with my mum for a 50th, and I think it all hit me that night, sort of what happened, and I probably cried for a couple of days, to be honest, realising what had happened, and the next couple of years and what that meant. Quite a weird time, weird way to turn pro, I think.
Yeah. So outflowing of emotion. You say you cry for a couple of days. What's that a build up from? What's that? Where does that come from?
Well, I was 20 years old at the time. I was in the Victorian Institute of Sport, competing against guys that I looked up to and that were better than me, and I hadn't really done what I'd wanted to do as an amateur, and then you have a week where everything comes together and then everything changes. I had $12 in my bank account. I had a few things sort of planned for the next sort of 12 months leading into turning pro, and then I ended up turning pro 3 days after winning New South Wales Open. That quickly? And I didn't know what an ABN was or GST. I had to borrow money off mum to turn pro, and it was quite bizarre. And then you get contracts from management companies and equipment companies, and when money's involved, everything sort of changed. And I really, really felt that, which isn't really talked about a lot. People think pro golfers make millions of dollars, which is just not the case. Weird time, but I mean, it's so cool as well. Like, it's exactly everything I wanted in my life. And then, the last sort of 9-10 years has been quite a roller coaster. Yeah, but still, most importantly, still in the game, still loving it, still playing good golf. Yeah, it's everything I want to do with my life, and I don't want to do anything else. Yeah. Plus, I'm not very good at anything else, so I think we haven't tried, Benny. I'll stay in golf for as long as I can. Yeah, do what you love. It's super important. I think back as a 20-year-old, this is me thinking at that age, and all your mates are obviously doing a lot of different stuff at the age of 20 too. So the pressure on you from there, win, loss or draw, it doesn't matter. That's your occupation, and you're entrenched in that too. What happens when, say, management comes knocking, like 3 days later you turn pro, they put these contracts underneath your nose, those sorts of things. What happens in terms of who goes through these things with you, who makes some of these decisions? Is it all on you and you make these decisions in an instant, or what's it look like for you? Yeah, that's a really good question. So obviously mum and dad going through it, they obviously didn't know what professional golf looked like or what that meant. We're in business, but again, golf is different to building houses. So my coach at the time, he helped me through a lot of it. He'd been through it himself, and then the coaches, another player that he was coaching, sort of guided me a little bit. But the contract says you got to take it to a lawyer, and then the lawyer says it's the worst contract they've ever seen, and then you get a lawyer bill for X amount of dollars, and I've got no money, and then $12 is going pretty quick. I couldn't even get a foot-long subway. So those things, and then you're talking about contracts worth thousands of dollars. First week I turned pro, I made $1,600, and I thought I was the richest bloke in the room. Like, honestly, that's exactly how I felt. And then Australian PGA 2 weeks later, I make 10 grand. I'm like, this is the easiest game in the whole world. And you're just doing what you love. Yeah. And then fast forward 6 months, 2016 was the worst year of my life, completely. I absolutely hated playing golf. I hated travelling. I hated everything to do with it, Spent 50 grand in 3 months based on some advice that I was given, and, I'm back to the start. I've absolutely nothing left. How do you perform when you're like that? So these things I learnt as I went on. Mum and dad learning with me. They've not been through this kind of experience, and my brother's not been through this kind of experience. He went to uni and he got his degree, and he sort of lived that life. And it was an interesting time. Yeah. We talk about the highs and lows. It's incredible how 12 months can offer up different scenarios. So how'd you deal with 2016? I kind of just went with it, to be honest. It was, like I said, I had management advice to go to these places, and I was trying to play as much as I could. I didn't have any status overseas a job overseas, and they give you some invites, some starts in these big events. But each of these events, like for example, I went to Morocco and Mauritius. Amazing tournaments, amazing places, amazing parts of the world, but it was so expensive to play them, and they just don't tell you any of this stuff. You know, like Mauritius, the hotel was about $3,000 for the week, and I missed the cut, and then all my flights and my caddy and all these things. Like no one tells you about it.
And you're based here then?
Until you do it. Oh yeah.
You're flying out.
Yeah. I was until sort of 2017 when I sort of got a full card in European Challenge Tour was when that was kind of when things changed a bit for me. But yeah, so I had sort of a 3-month stretch where it was horrendous, spent all the money I ever had, and then I went to Fiji and then had the best week I had all year and pretty much made it all back. And then I went to the European qualifying and basically got a job in Europe for the next year. So I went from having the worst year of my life within a 3-month period, and I hated it then, honestly, to having made more money than I'd ever seen before, into getting a job overseas. So it went from low of lows to like, all right, like this looks all right now. So yeah, and you know, that's kind of how the last sort of 9-10 years have been as well. Like it's low into an incredible high into quite low again. So yeah.
You've got a stack hat on with a big double chin strap underneath it on life, haven't you? You say, right, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to ride the roller coaster.
Yeah, and I don't think if I'd have been told any of that stuff before I turned that it would have made a difference.
Yep.
Because you have to live through it. Obviously, some better advice at the time would have been nicer, and you know, but I actually had a lot of help as well in that period. But yeah, it was. It's yeah.
And your early 20s too.
Yeah.
21, 22.
21, traveling the world.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like the way it's the narrative, you know, 21, traveling the world, doing what you love. On the flip side of it, I was on my own with no money, with very like little sport at the time where I was in, you know, traveling the world. Different time zones, different, you know, different cultures, different currencies, everything that you learn as you go. I hadn't sort of done any of that before, so it was an interesting year, that 2016. But yeah, it's been
a year you had to have though, by the sounds of things. As
I
bad
agree.
As it sounds, yeah.
I agree.
You've got to go backwards to go forwards.
I think so. I think the people that you see on TV, they're the anomalies within this rule of, you know, earning your stripes or going through sort of a learning period, grace period. But yeah, most of the guys that you see, that you would have seen yesterday, they've been through the things that I've been through, and they've lived the experiences that I've lived through, and I think only that playing group understands it from that perspective. So you sort of have that camaraderie and the understanding of the experience. And you're pretty much the only ones that you can talk to about it, because not many people understand that life. Yeah.
One thing I noticed yesterday, when things, they don't always go well in playing golf, let's be honest. But when things weren't going well, one thing I noticed with you is you still had a smile on your face. Do you think a 21-year-old Ben Eccles in 2016, when it was going wrong, would have had a smile on his face?
Oh no, definitely not. No, that's something that I've gotten better at, something I've consciously tried to get better at too. You know, attitude and mentality in golf is quite paramount. Particularly, like there's so many good players. I think even the standard in Australia is really underrated. There's so many good players here. You have to understand what you want in golf and where you want to get to, and then you really got to focus on the mental side of the game, because the technical and the actual doing side of it is, you know, it's pretty consistent across the field. So 2016 Ben was definitely not smiling, and it was definitely not easy. Yeah.
And we're talking about all the off-field stuff here too, aren't we? We're not even talking about standing over a little white ball and trying to put it in the best position you can.
Playing's the easy part.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's instinct for you, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, I've done it for the last 25 years of my life. You know, it's like brushing your teeth or riding a bike in a sense, because I've done it almost every day, particularly the last 10 years, nearly every single day.
Yeah.
And the playing side of it's easy. So if everything's all good off the golf course, then it sort of makes playing a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot of weight off your shoulders. If you're talking about before with the financial side of things too, so say Oh, this is a good example. We're at the start of 2025, and you've probably had a look at your calendar and said, okay, this is what I want to achieve, or this is where I want to get to, the tournaments I want to play. Mm-hmm. On average, from a budget perspective, how do you look at it and go, okay, I'm going to need X amount for 2025 before I even swing a club? Mm-hmm. How challenging is that?
Again, something you learn as you go. I mean, if I go back a year and a half, I had no dollars left. I literally couldn't afford to keep playing. So I played in Asia of 2022, and that's when all the travel expenses went through the roof, and it left me absolutely decimated. I could not play.
Yeah.
So I had a card in Australia to play, and I couldn't afford to go. And I met some people that have come on board that have been incredible, that have changed that side of things for me. But just to play in Australia, if you budget it well, it can sort of cost you between 30 to 50 grand a year just to play in Australia. And then if you have an overseas card where you're playing another 25 events, it's probably going to cost you another 50, 60, 70 on top of that. So yeah, it's going back to when I was playing in Europe and Australia, it was costing me about 140 grand a year just to compete. So that's a lot of pressure as well. And you know, a lot of weeks you play, you earn your prize money, and that sort of gets you to the next event.
Yeah.
And then, you know, everything you see online and everywhere, like the PGA Tour, they make millions upon millions just for playing. So professional golf is really not like that. Yeah. So
the Netflix documentaries, you see they're flying in personal jets or private jets into all these, like it's not real world in terms of
very, very, very top end. So you know, 20 to 50 players around the world probably make that kind of money, whereas there's thousands upon thousands of golfers. And,
yes.
You know, there's only 50 guys in Australia that keep a card here, and yeah, the range level from number 1 to 50 is quite a big drop.
Yeah. Just so people who probably don't quite get the process of it, you go overseas to play a lot of golf too. A lot of people think, oh, why don't you just play in Australia?
Yeah.
But the process to play overseas means you want to try and advance, obviously, to get to some of these tournaments. So how does that work?
Yeah, so the Australian season runs basically from October to March.
Yeah.
So what do you do from April to October? You know, when I'm not allowed to coach, I'm not skilled in anything, or I don't have a job outside of golf. So what do? You have to look elsewhere, and there's other tours around the world that play all year long. So you pretty much have to get out of Australia to progress. And the US and Europe and Asia, they're sort of the main three at the moment. Or if you're lucky enough to get a live contract.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
Are you still working on that?
I would be there, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're the sort of things that you look at the start of the year. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to compete? And like I said before, you need to know where you want to get to in golf and what you want. So yeah, they're the things that you sort of look at the start of the year.
Yeah, and then work your way backwards from there. Yep.
Yeah, and obviously then trying to play well. I think if you can win in Australia, I think you can win anywhere else in the world. The standard here is really, really good, like I said, and you can progress from there.
So we're talking about some of those real tough times. Like I said before, you're still here, you're still playing golf, and you're still playing at a really good level. So what is it that you went through, or what is it that you changed or learned that still has you playing such good golf all these years later?
Well, I understand what I want from golf, I guess. Golf's given me an incredible life. I've met some amazing people, and it's everything that I want to do in my life. So understanding that is sort of what's kept me playing. If I sort of fell out of love with the game or the travel or any of that side of it, then I would definitely step away. And that's quite an honest take on it. I know guys that have been in that position that have been successful, and they fell out of love with the game and they don't play anymore. So I think that core value of enjoying it still is definitely still prevalent for me. And if that ever changes, then I would look elsewhere. But for now, it's still good. Yeah.
Still flourishing. 2023, you go to Kalgoorlie.
Yeah.
WA.
Yeah.
You jump on a plane, 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever that looks like. Hot.
Yep.
You rock up.
In the desert.
In the desert, yeah. I know. I had a look on YouTube, and it literally was in the desert with a couple of green spots.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then some flags and some holes. What happened on that tournament? Talk to us about that.
So that was the second event that I played in 2023. 2023-24 season. I'd missed the cut in WA Open the week before. So we went to Kalgoorlie, and it's, like I said, it's in the middle of the desert. It's top 100 public golf course in Australia. It's really, really cool. If you ever get the chance to play it, do.
Yeah.
It was almost a carbon copy of New South Wales Open 2015. Everything went well. I shot 23 under par and I won by 5. So when about 3 months earlier I didn't have enough money to continue competing, to 3 months later winning again on the Australasian Tour, that's the most emotional I've ever been. And it's still, I still feel that when I talk about it. Because again, what that gives you is not just a paycheck, but it gives you 2 years secure for the next 2 years here without worrying about earning your playing rights or any of that side of it. So yeah, what it meant for me was like, all right, I'm secure for the next at least 2 years. So I don't have to worry about how I play or where I go. If I want to try anything else elsewhere, then I don't have to worry about my status here or any of that stuff. So that was amazing.
Security.
Oh yeah, the security is massive in golf. Yeah.
Talk to us about the similarities between 2015, so winning the New South Wales PGA, and then also WA. You said it was pretty similar. What are you feeling when you're playing golf? Do you know you're on pretty quick?
Yeah, it was kind of everything. All my prep felt good, like as I normally would do, and then as we sort of got going, I felt like I could do well around that golf course, and for some reason it just sort of all fell into place and it all sort of went well, and everything felt clear in what I was trying to do, and it all went to plan. And the Sunday, the final day, which I was leading by 6 going into, it was still the most uncomfortable I've ever been because of the situation, and it had been so long since I was in that. And
they know they're chasing.
Yeah, and these guys are good, so they're going to play well. So you still have to play well in that situation, even though there's quite a bit of a lead. And then, it was a challenging day. It was, it was hot. It was, what's coming. The guys are going to play well, and it's televised. It's not been televised before, and the mum and family's watching it at home. And all these things. So that was an amazing day. It really was. Yeah.
You'll tell me what hole it was because you'll relive it pretty quick. You ended up in a bunker on the Sunday. The same hole, I think maybe the 2 guys you were playing with might have birdied that hole. You're in a bunker. What happened?
Yeah, so a guy I was playing with, Kit, he was playing really well. He'd started off really well, and I was quite shaky. I was nervous, and it was kind of a big point in the day where he hit his second shot quite close. I'm thinking he's going to make birdie, and I'm like, oh God, I've hit in the worst bunker you can hit it into.
Next to the green.
I'm thinking, oh, what are you doing? Anyway, I hit probably the best shot of my life, and I hold the bunker shot, and then he misses his putt, and I'm like, how does that happen? That's golf summed up.
Yep.
And then went on to have 4 under on the back 9 to win by 5. So that was like a kickstart. It was like I remember fist bumping and thinking like, all right, this is sort of time to do it and get it done. And that was a huge moment in the day. And yeah, still one of my favourite memories. Yeah.
I watched it a couple of days ago. I loved it. Just watching it, and then knowing, I think, what sort of excitement and confidence you would have got out of that. Is that really something you thrive off with, some of that confidence after one shot can change your whole mindset sometimes, can't it?
Yeah, it's momentum. You talk about it in all kinds of other sports. AFL is quite a big one with momentum as well, and I think in that situation it was all about that. If I hit a bad bunker shot and make a bogey and Kit makes a birdie, a 2-shot swing, we almost get level, and then I'm thinking, God, I'm gonna have to really play good this back 9. I can put more pressure on myself to perform, as opposed to hole in the shot, right, can relax a bit, I birdie the next hole, and then it sort of carries on a bit. So like I said, it was a huge moment in the day,
Yeah. But even your thought pattern, I'm interested in, like you're saying, putting it in the bunker. Okay, you've pulled it left into the bunker, they're on the green. You're saying to yourself, what are you doing? What have you put it there for? All right. To then, I don't know, give it 4 or 5 minutes, telling yourself something completely different, a completely different narrative in your head. Mm-hmm. How is that in the game of golf? How do you control those thoughts and the narrative that goes through your head with so many environments that could change so quickly?
Really, really good question, because you only hit 70 odd shots, hopefully less.
Yep.
But you're out there for potentially 5 hours. So you have so much thinking time, and there's so many thoughts that go through your head. So it's again a learning, I think it's a learned behaviour of letting the thoughts come and go. Just be quite passive with that. In that moment I'm thinking, could be a 2-shot swing, you could do this could happen, this could, you run scenarios in your head, and then...
You could. Yeah.
And then you hold the shot and you're like, okay, well, that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
Something that you don't expect to happen happens. Okay, let's ride with that. This is your week. This is going to happen. You can do this. Trust your game. You've played good all week. So it sort of flipped the narrative a bit in the thought process, and then. But I think it comes back to routines as well. So your pre-shot routine. Again, coming back to what does the shot need from me in that moment. And just still trying to go through that process, and even though you've got all these thoughts flying in and out, and okay, this could mean this could mean, I make a bit of money, like what does that money mean, and then what does that mean for this? So many, it kind of snowballs as well.
Yep.
And then on the flip side of it, if you play bad, it snowballs the other way.
Yeah.
So again, trying to keep level and let the thoughts come and go as best you can, and then just try and hit the best shot you can. It sounds so cliche, but the mental process of that is your routines, and okay, what does this shot require of me in this situation? And it's what I talk to my coach about all the time.
Yeah.
Picking the right shot, picking, what does this shot need from me, and then okay, we've done this enough times, like let's just trust that process. Yeah.
And your ability to be present, like a quick chat, but sometimes it's just a matter of, even if you need to give yourself some evidence to remind you, just to look where your feet are. Yeah. Be where your feet are, because the calmer, obviously, that you are, the better decisions you're going to make and the better execution it's going to be. We have, on average, and this probably doubles when you're playing golf, but we have on average as humans anywhere from 50 to 60,000 thoughts per day. All right? 85% of them are negative or unhelpful. I reckon that's probably gone up to 120 when you're playing golf.
Oh yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
But the narrative as a normal human, what we're talking about is that 85% of our thoughts, just in general day to day, are unhelpful. So I could only imagine the number of thoughts that are going through your head, and to be able to combat that. But you're saying before in regards to how your pre-shot, the technical side of things is easy for you. So your pre-shot routine, is that the same every time? I noticed it was quite quick.
Yeah, and I think because there's so many thoughts going on, during the day, you have to have something that remains quite constant, which is routines, pre-shot and post-shot. And if you feel a build-up of frustration, really let it go immediately. Whatever that looks like, snap your club, whatever, it doesn't bother me, as long as it's out and you can move on. There's so many. You have so many steps between shots. You have so much time to think. So you should work on your pre-shot and post-shot routines, and it's something that as I've got older and as I've played more, it's become more obvious to me that that's more important. Yeah. And you see it with the best. They do it really well, and if they are frustrated, they let it out, and if they're playing well, they sort of ride that momentum. And having a quick pre-shot routine, and I'm a quick player, so if I start to take more time, I actually feel like I get worse. So that's something I try and keep as stable as possible, that shot routine. Yeah.
And release that mental brick as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah. You can't be carrying that to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. That's compounding errors. Yeah. Which happens. I do it week in, week out. No one's immune from it, but if you can work on it, then I think that's where more consistency comes from, and then better performance.
Yeah. And what I love about what we're talking about there is giving yourself evidence that you can actually do things. So those negative thought patterns can you can win and lose a game in between the 6 inches between the ears. It's incredible, but giving yourself evidence with one shot is I think so powerful with our thoughts in terms of how you can win and lose so quickly with that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Talk to me about 2025 and your goals for 2025. I know we touched on it earlier, but what do you want to achieve this year?
This year looks a little bit different for me. I'm gonna try my hand over in South Africa on the Sunshine Tour. So the qualifying process is in April, which is 4 rounds, top 20 get a job essentially.
Yeah.
And on the Sunshine Tour they play from May till March. So again, really good way of supplementing a schedule here in Australia. And then a goal of mine long term is to play the European DP World Tour, which has always been a goal of mine, and that's something I've not achieved yet. I've sort of felt that side of it, and it's definitely where you want to play. But yeah, that's a goal of mine, and obviously finish off this season in Australia as high as I can on the Order of Merit would be great as well.
Yep. So going the DP, was it? Sorry,
the Sunshine Tour, that's in April, and then ultimately that I want it to lead to playing on the DP World. Yeah.
Yeah. And what does the DP World look like? What's that involve?
It's quite hard to get to, and it's something I've been trying to get to for a number of years now.
Yeah.
Top 3 on the Australian Order of Merit get a spot.
Yep.
Top 3 on the Sunshine Tour Order of Merit get a spot, or if you can go through the qualifying tournament sort of end of the year, that's another way to qualify. So it's all based on performance, and what they have brought in, they play a 45 event schedule all over the world for minimum of about $2.5 million US a week. Nice little
cash injection there, Benny.
Yeah, big time. And then they have assurances as well for players. Since Live's inception, they've brought in a guaranteed base sort of number, which again is an assurance that you're going to sort of be okay if you don't play too well, which I think was necessary.
That security you were talking about before.
Security, exactly.
Yeah. And life off the field, life's good.
Life's great.
Yeah,
life's great. I'm getting married this year, and
congrats, mate.
Got a couple of dogs at home, and life's great. So again, life's good off the course. It sort of means performance can be a bit easier.
Yeah. And fitness-wise, things are going well for you. How do you maintain that level of fitness, both recovery and obviously your strength training and those sorts of things? What's it look like for you?
Yeah, I'm working with shout out Lockie Armour. I played on tour with him for a couple of years, and he's transitioned into the training side of it. So we've got a good program where we're building some areas of strength that I struggle in, and something we're trying to focus on. But the recovery side of it is so important. Like I said, my body feels awful after 3 weeks. I'm obviously feeling it more because I'm a bit older now, but we walk like 50-60 k's a week, and golf is such a forceful movement that it's low impact. It's not hard on the body, so to speak, but it's repetitive strains that sort of creep in. So they're the things that I'm trying to focus on and get better at.
Talk to us about nutrition. Obviously, nutrition's widely spoken about, especially as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
How much focus do you put on nutrition?
Use the athlete term.
You
I think, in brackets. But, I think it depends where you play. So when I was playing in Asia, I found I was burning a lot more calories. I would sweat out more. I'd be drinking 20 to 30 bottles of water a day, and then having 2 meals for dinner. So nutrition, so to speak, is sort of more calorie based, I think, for us. It's not so much performance driven. It's kind of, individually driven. So some guys don't care about it. Some guys really care about it. I think for golf, it really is individualized. And then based on where you're playing, I found it was different in some parts of the world than it is to others.
What about when you're playing? Have you got a couple of snacks in your bag, or you just don't think about food?
Yes, again, I think I try and eat, but it's very, very limited. I don't like feeling like I've got a heavy stomach when I'm playing. So, some fruits and then, maybe a sandwich sort of halfway, but that's it. I won't pick my way around as I'm playing. Some guys might, but again, like I said before, it's all individualised. People like to feel differently on the course, and then they'll do that accordingly. But for me, I don't eat that much on course.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say there's a massive focus on nutrition for you. It's just you know what you need, you get it done.
Yeah. For golf, it's not so much focus on nutrition as it is more recovery and training. I think. Nutrition doesn't really play that much of a part in my golf anyway.
Let's talk about off-field. How do you separate the who from the do? What does Ben Eccles like to do when he's got time off, if he gets time off?
Well, I'm extremely good at doing nothing. So I actually find that quite a good thing for me. I'm quite good at decompressing from it and getting away from the actual stress of doing the golf. Practice and that side of it, I think quality over quantity for me now at this stage of my career. I've done it enough. I know what I need to do and I know what I'm working on. So when I go to practice, it's a lot of quality stuff as opposed to hours upon hours of just beating golf balls. So and then I like to spend time with my fiance Ash and the dogs and family and friends and try and get as much normality into my life as I can. Because it is quite an unusual life to live,
Yeah, but it's all you know, isn't it, too?
Exactly. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm not very good at anything else, and golf is something that I do. It's not who I am, and I'm thinking about golf 24/7 on how I can get better and what I can do differently and all those things.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm better now at separating that from actual, Ben as a person.
Yeah. If I said to you, righto Benny, you're going to stop playing golf in a week's time, that's going to be it for you. What thought have you had, if any, in regards to what you do next? Have you had any inkling, or what would drive you mainly? I know the competitive juices in you with golf is so common with athletes. Is there something else that you'd think you'd like to try potentially one day?
It's a really good question, because in some weeks I've definitely had those thoughts and been like, this is really hard, and it's the financial pressures, and am I good enough, and can I do this? All the doubts that anyone would have. You start to play around. What could I do? My dad's a builder with my brother, and I'm rubbish at that, so I'm not sure if I'd be any good at doing that. I've got quite a big network, so I feel like I would be able to find something that I'll be quite passionate about. I've got quite an obsessive personality, obviously, being a golfer, and quite an unusual way of living. But I don't know. I really don't know. It's a good question. I'm not sure if coaching's for me. I've dabbled in it a little bit, but I'm not sure if I've got the patience. Being a player and playing at that level as opposed to coaching side, I think that's quite an acquired skill and taste. I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't be any good at that, I don't think either. Just because I've played doesn't mean I'll be a good coach.
Yep.
It's a really good question. It's got me thinking. I'll have to get back to you on
Don't
that.
worry about it, because you're playing good enough golf. You don't have to worry about it. That was just a what-if hypothetical thing we'll throw in. Yeah. But I think, and this is probably the beauty of it, Benny, is you haven't had to worry about it, and you don't have to worry about it, because what you've been able to do now is acquire a really good skill set, both technically and mentally, to get you where you are now, and it's a credit to you.
Appreciate that, mate.
I think you should be really proud, and I know, locally yesterday, even in the last couple of days with the Vic Open, just seeing the amount of people that were following you. I'm talking to random people. They knew exactly where you were on the course in terms of what part of the day. Benny Eccles, he's doing this. They're also invested in you, and I know you talk about your home tournament being quite challenging, and I can totally see that. But just know in the background there's people that are right behind you, whether it means sometimes they're in your face on the Vic Open, which could potentially happen with everyone being on the course a little bit differently. Sometimes you might not want that when things aren't going well. Is that common?
Yeah, it's a unique tournament in that aspect. It's they get to walk the fairways with you. You're talking to people, and situationally you might not want to talk to someone other than your caddy.
You told me where to go. I said, sorry, mate.
Get out of here, Benny. But it's a unique tournament. I like it, and there's some things that I guess people they like to get in into you and talk to you, and which is not a bad thing, you know. I think I was going to say, you know, perspective side of things is huge. You know, I take a step back and the things that I've done, the places I've been, and you know, the network that I've gained from just playing golf is incredible. So, you know, when I do get down, I think it's really important to have that perspective, and, you know, at the Vic Open, just to have a look around and just realise that these people are watching me play golf. Like, it's pretty cool, I have to say. Even if it could get pretty tough in the home event, or if you don't play too well, you know, that perspective is really, really important, I think.
Your ability to zoom out. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Your ability to zoom out and be grateful for what you're doing on a daily basis is why you are where you are. So keep going. You've got a really massive future ahead of you. I know you have, because you've got a great head on your shoulders. Thanks, and I just want to say thanks for coming on the podcast, and I wish you all the best, mate.
Thanks for having me, Benny. Really appreciate it.
Been awesome. Good job, mate.
Thanks, mate.
So for more information on how you or your organisation can work with Mindset 365 and go from where you are to where you want to be, get in touch at ben@mindset365.com.au or visit mindset365.com.au for more information on dates and programs currently running. Thanks again for coming along for the ride. Don't forget to start implementing some of those strategies learnt to become 1% better each day.